Welcome to this video. This is a Math 081 video, Chapter 3, Section 2. In this video, we're going to learn how to perform conversions with the metric system. So the basic three units of the metric system are the meter, the liter, and the gram. So meter is a measure of length, liter is a measure of volume, and gram is a measure of weight. Then we have different prefixes we can place in front of each of these. So, for example, kilo means 1,000. So if I had like a kilometer, right, a kilometer, that would be 1,000 meters. There's the prefix hecto, which means 100. We don't often see that, but you could have, for example, a hectoliter. That would be 100 liters. We have deca. That's also not a prefix. It's very often used, but it means 10. So if you had a decagram, that would be 10 grams. And then, of course, you have your basic unit, the meter, the liter, the gram. Then we have units that divide things up into smaller bits. So if I had a decimeter, for example, that would be 1/10 of a meter. If I had a centimeter, that's something that we do use often, right? Centimeter, that would be 1/100th of a meter. Okay, so there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. And then milli, another prefix we do often see, like a milligram, there are 1,000 milligrams in 1 gram. And here again are the basic units and then the prefixes that you can use. Here they use them just for the meter, but you can use them for any of the 3 basic units. It's kind of a mix and match situation. So let's get started with this example. This is very similar to the previous video if you watched that. The only difference is that now we are using these metric units. So we want to convert 3 kilometers to meters. Okay? And again, just like in the last section, you're not going to be required to memorize the prefixes or the units. You'll be given a conversion fact and then just use that to set a proportion and solve it. Okay, so we have 3 kilometers, and we don't know how many meters that is, so we'll just call it X. Okay, so remember the first thing I do is I always fill in my units on the right, making sure that my kilometers are matching with my other kilometers, and making sure that my meters are matching with my meters. Okay, so I know that 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters, right? I fill that in here. And then you have a proportion and you can just go ahead and solve it. So you have 3,000 is equal to X. So there are 3,000 meters in 1 kilometer. Now I mentioned in my other video that many of my students say, hey, you know, I could probably do this without setting up a proportion. I could just, I don't know, maybe just multiply 3 by 1,000 and get the answer. And that's absolutely true. But remember, the only reason we're really putting this unit conversion section or part into 3.2 is to reinforce this skill of solving proportions. So even if you're absolutely right, you could do this without setting up a proportion, if you're doing this on a test or an exam or a quiz, you really need to get into the habit of setting up a proportion and using proportions to solve this problem, because again, that's the skill that we're trying to teach and reinforce by talking about and using unit conversion. All right, let's do another example. Okay, this time we have 88 centigrams. That's 1/100th of a gram. 2 grams. Okay, so we don't know how many grams that is, so we'll call it X. And again, here's our known ratio over here. So we have 88 centigrams over X grams equals, and again, I'm going to totally ignore what I see, and I'm just going to make sure that my centigrams match my centigrams and my grams match my grams. Okay? Now, I'll look at the conversion fact. So 100 centigrams, so that means 100 goes upstairs, and grams are downstairs, so the 1 goes downstairs. Okay? So then we have our proportion all set up, so we can solve it. So we have 88 times 1 is equal to 100x. Divide. So we get 0.88 grams in 88 centigrams. And that's our answer. Okay, let's see if we have another example in here. Convert 41 liters to kiloliters. So that'll be X. Here's our conversion fact. So we have 41 liters, and we don't know how many kiloliters that is. Okay, and again, the first thing I do is I make sure that the liters match the liters, and then I make sure that the kiloliters match the kiloliters here. Okay? All right, so how many liters do we have? Well, we have 1,000 liters, so that 1,000 has to go upstairs. And then we have 1 kiloliter. The kiloliters are downstairs, so that 1 has to go downstairs. So we have ourselves a nice little proportion here. And we can use cross multiplication to solve it, just as we always do. So then we divide by 1,000. And we find that X is 0.041 kiloliters. And that's our answer. Okay, so if you want to, the textbook contains many more practice problems and their solutions. So I would strongly encourage you guys to do some more practice so that you can get really good at this unit conversion.